A nation grieves. The skies above Washington, D.C. are usually filled with the familiar hum of aircraft, a sound that signifies the bustling activity of the nation's capital. But on the evening of January 29, 2025, that familiar sound was replaced by the deafening roar of a collision, forever etching a tragic mark on the nation's capital. The serenity of the night was shattered in an instant. A mid-air crash near Ronald Reagan National Airport sent shockwaves across the country, leaving behind a trail of devastation and unanswered questions. The airport, usually a hub of activity, was plunged into chaos and despair. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the Potomac River, an American Airlines CRJ-700 regional jet, designated as Flight 5342, prepared for its final approach. The passengers on board were likely anticipating their arrival, unaware of the impending disaster. Simultaneously, a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter, on a routine training mission, navigated the airspace near the airport. The crew was focused on their maneuvers, oblivious to the impending collision. In a matter of seconds, the two aircraft collided, transforming a routine Wednesday evening into a scene of unimaginable horror. The collision was so sudden and violent that it left no time for evasive action. The impact, witnessed by horrified onlookers on the ground, sent fiery debris raining down into the icy waters of the Potomac, instantly extinguishing the lives of all on board both aircraft. The serene river became a graveyard of twisted metal and lost lives. The crash site, located approximately 3 miles south of the White House and the Capitol building, quickly became the epicenter of a frantic rescue and recovery operation. Emergency responders worked tirelessly, battling the elements in the clock. This catastrophic event, the deadliest U.S. air disaster in over 2 decades, has left a nation grappling with grief, demanding answers, and questioning the safety of our skies. The tragedy has sparked a nationwide debate on aviation safety and the protocols in place to prevent such disasters. As investigators work tirelessly to piece together the events that led to this tragedy, the families and loved ones of those lost are left to navigate the unbearable pain of their sudden and unimaginable loss. The nation stands in solidarity with them, mourning the lives cut short and hoping for answers that may bring some semblance of closure. The unthinkable happens. It was a seemingly ordinary Wednesday evening, January 29, 2025, when the unthinkable unfolded in the skies above Washington, D.C. The city was winding down from a busy day, unaware of the impending disaster. At approximately 8:57 p.m. EST, American Airlines Flight 5342, a CRJ-700 regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members, began its descent into Ronald Reagan National Airport. The flight was on schedule and everything seemed routine. The flight, originating from Wichita, Kansas, was carrying a diverse group of passengers, including business travelers, families returning home, and a group of young figure skaters heading back from a competition. Each passenger had their own story, their own destination. Meanwhile, a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter with 3 soldiers on board was conducting a routine training exercise in the vicinity of the airport. The helicopter was part of a larger training operation aimed at maintaining readiness. The helicopter, operating under visual flight rules, was authorized to fly at a maximum altitude of 200 feet. The crew was experienced and had conducted similar exercises numerous times before. At 9:03 p.m., tragedy struck. The serene night was shattered by a catastrophic event. Air traffic control recordings captured the chilling moment when the American Airlines jet and the Black Hawk helicopter collided in mid-air. The controllers' voices, filled with shock and disbelief, echoed the horror of the situation. The impact, occurring at an altitude of approximately 1,500 feet, was catastrophic, instantly destroying both aircraft. The sky lit up with a fiery explosion, marking the end of both flights. The collision, witnessed by horrified onlookers on the ground, sent a shudder through the nation's capital. People stopped in their tracks, looking up in disbelief and fear. Eyewitness accounts describe a bright flash in the sky followed by a deafening explosion as fiery debris rained down into the Potomac River. The night was suddenly filled with chaos and panic. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the force of the impact and the icy waters of the river left little hope for survivors. The rescue operations were hampered by the harsh conditions, making the tragedy even more profound. Loss and recovery. These two words encapsulate the harrowing journey that began on the banks of the Potomac River. The immediate aftermath of the crash was a scene of chaos and despair. The once serene riverside was now a hub of frantic activity, with emergency responders and distraught onlookers converging on the site. Emergency responders, facing a daunting task, raced against time and the elements to locate survivors and recover the remains of those lost in the tragedy. Their determination was palpable as they worked tirelessly amidst the wreckage. The icy waters of the Potomac River, now littered with debris and jet fuel, hampered recovery efforts, turning the search into a painstaking and heartbreaking operation. The cold, murky depths concealed the wreckage, making the task even more challenging. Divers, braving the frigid temperatures and zero-visibility conditions, meticulously combed through the wreckage, their underwater lights illuminating the shattered remnants of the two aircraft. Each dive was a test of endurance and resolve. Using sonar equipment and remotely operated vehicles, they searched for the plane's black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, vital pieces of evidence that could shed light on the final moments leading up to the collision. These devices held the key to understanding the tragedy. As days turned into nights, the grim reality of the situation settled in. There would be no survivors. The hopes of finding anyone alive dwindled with each passing hour. The recovery effort shifted its focus solely to recovering the remains of all 70 souls on board the two aircraft. The mission was now one of bringing closure to the grieving families. The painstaking process, carried out with the utmost respect and dignity, involved divers carefully extracting bodies from the wreckage and bringing them to the surface, where they were met by somber-faced medical examiners. Each recovery was a solemn reminder of the lives lost. The National Transportation Safety Board, the agency responsible for investigating civil transportation accidents, took charge of the investigation, vowing to leave no stone unturned in their quest for answers. Their commitment was unwavering. Their investigation, a complex and multifaceted endeavor, would encompass analyzing air traffic control recordings, examining wreckage, interviewing witnesses, and reviewing weather data to determine the chain of events that led to this catastrophic event. The goal was to piece together the puzzle and prevent such a tragedy from happening again. So, the investigation into the incident began almost immediately, with a focus on understanding the sequence of events. The air traffic control recordings were, crucial in piecing together the timeline. Investigators listened to every communication, looking for any anomalies or signs of distress. It was, a meticulous process, but absolutely necessary to uncover the truth. As the investigation progressed, more details started to emerge, shedding light on the complexities of air traffic management and the critical decisions made in those final moments. As the news of the collision spread, the nation found itself grappling with an overwhelming sense of loss. Families mourned, communities came together, and the entire country was enveloped in a profound sadness. It was a time of collective grief, a moment when the nation paused to remember those who were lost and to support those who were left behind. Reagan Airport, a bustling hub of activity, was suddenly thrust into chaos and confusion. Flights were delayed, security was heightened, and the usually calm atmosphere was replaced with an air of uncertainty. The collision had a ripple effect, disrupting not just the schedule but also the lives of countless travelers and employees. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of aviation. Aviation, while a marvel of modern technology, has a history marked by tragic accidents. From the early days of flight to the present, each incident has taught valuable lessons and led to significant improvements in safety protocols. This collision, like those before it, serves as a somber chapter in the ongoing story of aviation, reminding us of the importance of vigilance and innovation in ensuring the safety of all who take to the skies. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the focus shifted to honoring the victims and learning from the incident. Memorials were held, names were remembered, and stories were shared. But beyond the grief, there was a collective resolve to make the skies safer. Investigations were launched, recommendations were made, and steps were taken to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, an enduring commitment to progress, and a heartfelt tribute to those who lost their lives.